And my first experience with direct perception or experience of formless awareness was in my teenage years when I had no language to describe it and I had no ready sources available to explain to me what was going on. But it had such a profound effect on me that it let me know that there are other ways of being in the world. It happened in my teenage years. My first time I was in a ballpark in New York City, schoolyard, sitting up against a chain link fence, watching some basketball games going on, watching some softball and punchball going on. And over in the corner I saw some guys playing handball. And as I watched these guys playing handball, there was a moment when I blinked my eye and I was no longer sitting against the chain link fence, but I was up there huffing and puffing and slamming away a little pink ball playing handball. And in the course of playing handball, I looked out of the corner of my eye, and off in the distance, maybe 50 yards away, I saw this kid sitting against the chain link fence. Another blink of an eye, and I was once again back in the chain link fence watching these kids play. And my focus was now totally on those guys playing handball. And there was one tall guy, skinny, dark-haired, that looked a lot like me. And I had that experience. And I failed in the curiosity case to walk over there and see if I was going to run into myself, a physical doppelganger of myself. Instead, I got up and I walked out of the schoolyard, and I didn't look back. And so what I did, retrospectively looking back on it, I took that experience and I put it away in a closet. And I took my frame of reference, my reality, that screen that I've been looking at, and if there was a little slit in it for this experience, I tried to very neatly stitch it up so that it looked like my ordinary experience once again, but I could see the stitching at the time. I could remember. My next experience there was in my late teens, maybe 18, 19. And I was home from school, lying down, tired, warm day, and the refrigerator was just having this electrical hum. And for whatever reason, I chose to listen to it. And I just kind of tuned into this. And it seems to me seconds went by, perhaps minutes went by, and I felt like I ought to get up. I was feeling a little thirsty. Let me get into the kitchen and get something to drink. And I stood up. And the experience of standing up was my head was up around the ceiling. I felt like I was like about 9, 10 feet tall. And I looked around the ceiling, and I saw in the corner like the little spider web. How the hell? What is that? You know, what's going on? And I could see the cracks in the ceiling, like just an inch or two from my head. And I turned around, and I looked back down, and I saw this person lying on a sofa. And I kind of freaked out because, whoa, I thought I was in this house by myself. Who is this person? I looked, and in that moment of panic, anxiety, I blinked, and I woke up, if that's the correct word, lying on the sofa looking up at the ceiling. Well, I was 18, 19, and I did research on this. And everything that I read at the time took me to astral projection, Sri Aurobindo, and tantric yoga, and all kinds of things that just didn't fit well with me. And so there were all these things, and chakras, and spinal cord, and the spirit coming up through the top of your head, and the heart chakra, and this chakra, and I just, no, it didn't make any sense to me. I didn't buy it. But I came to realize there is a way of being that is separate from and different from my ordinary experience. These two experiences were spontaneous. I did nothing to do them, and every time I tried to recreate, it didn't happen. And the third time it occurred, I was in my 30s. And I had already started to read a lot about Zen and Buddhism and Advaita. And I was getting accustomed to the vocabulary and the language and the experience of it. I'm driving along, just cruising along out in California, Highway 10, going from Los Angeles to San Bernardino, going up to Lake Arrowhead. And I just felt who I thought I was expand and lifted just a little bit beyond the boundary of my body, maybe an inch and a half. I wasn't fully embodied, like a shirt that fit nicely. Like the shirt was a little bit too tight, and I floated a little bit outside the boundaries. And in that particular moment, all these past experiences came together, and I said, whoa, formless awareness. It's not tied to the body. It can be part of the body, and what happens, it identifies with the body, it identifies with the mind, it identifies with the thoughts and the emotions and sensations, and it thinks, this is who I am, this is what I am. I am this body. I am these thoughts, I am these emotions. But I'm also this something else, and it wasn't a who. It was a what. And what I was formless awareness, which I've come to now talk about in terms of formless awareness, temporarily manifesting as a human being, awakening to my formless nature through this body, an apparent paradox. But what that did for a while was to get mind all caught up in the idea of transcendence. The body was not the real reality. This other ephemeral metaphysical thing was real. This was the truth. And I tried to have more and more out-of-body experiences to no avail. But my mind got into this whole denial, into the netty, not this, not this, not this, not this. Until it got pretty stupid and ridiculous, you know. I'm not the body, I'm not the form reality. Physical reality is not real. It's really empty space. It's made up of all these particles and atoms and neurons and electrons and protons and photons and great, conceptually. You still got to deal with the tables and the chairs and the wall behind me and the clothes that I put on. I still go on green, stop on red. There is a practicality to this apparent illusion, to this apparent dream world we live in. And to turn your back on it is sometimes you get all caught up in the non-dualist conversation. And they're all talking about, like the kid with the emperor and his tailors, telling him this was such a fine, gossamer, beautiful, beautiful outfit they were making for him. The kid said, hey, the king's got no clothes on. The emperor's got no clothes. Why is everybody saying that? One of these guys, he's wearing no clothes. In this instance, everybody's saying nothing exists. Well, what do you mean nothing exists? Look, the wall behind me, I got these earphones, I got a shirt, I got this facial thing. That all of this is an interpretation. Fine, it's an interpretation. There may be some absolute reality that we are never ever going to be able to describe to one another. We all see the same absolute reality from a different perspective through the filters of our mind, through the filters of our experience, our upbringing, our education, our neural circuitry, our chemical makeup. And so all we see of absolute reality is our little relative pinhole perspective. And that's all we can talk about. That's all anybody can talk about, is their particular point of view and how it all seems to them, how it looks like to them, how it looks like to me. I'm not telling you the truth about absolute reality. I can't reveal anything about it to you. Each one of us makes this trip. One of the things that the drug experience gave me was access to these ideas of dormancy and activation. It took me a while to realize whatever that pill was, it interacted with something in me. So there was something dormant lying in me that became awake and was activated when I took the pill. We are transceivers. We transmit and receive energy and information through our actions, through the words we speak, through the sounds we make. So any one of us can awaken depending on the circumstances we find ourselves in, emotionally, psychologically, physically, spiritually. And something that is dormant is active. And you don't have to walk around with mental pry bars trying to pry open your head, trying to massage your brain so that you will have this experience. We already are, as we are, a manifestation of the universe, a manifestation of the cosmos, a manifestation of absolute truth, a manifestation of the divine. Whatever words you feel more comfortable with. Reality is always here. It's only mind through some preconception that says, no, that's not it, it's not matching up, no, it's got to be something else, it's got to look differently. Reality has to look different than this. We are all of this at the same time, simultaneously. It's never either or. It's always and. I am a physical being, I am a spiritual being, I'm a psychological being, I'm an emotional being. I am all of this. I am not just one thing. We are multidimensional. We are multidimensional. Welcome to the journey.